academic learning, I think there's been a ton of that as well for me, at least.
Yeah, all in all, he's an engineer, so he can do anything he wants.
Even break his
Yeah.
head against the wall.
Yeah.
But
I
I
don't know
think
what jack of all
Mhm.
trades, but definitely master of none.
I don't think so.
What's up, guys? Welcome to Market Curry. Today, I'll be the host, and these three guys, the boys, they'll be the guests. So, Nirmal, Adwait, and Shikhar, you can start with the introduction.
Okay, so I'll start it off. Hey guys, I'm Shikhar. You guys have seen me alongside Rahul hosting these podcasts, but this time I'm here as a guest. I'll tell you about my background. I've mostly done my bachelor's in commerce from Delhi University back in India. Worked for a couple of years in consulting with KPMG and PwC in India itself, and then I moved on with my current master's in quantitative finance at Northeastern University, Boston. And during my summer, I'm actually currently doing my summer internship at Amica Insurance as a graduate intern in equity research and portfolio management. So it's been going good, and this is what the episode is about. Nirmal, on to you.
Yeah, thank you, Shikhar, and thank you, Rahul, for giving this opportunity just to introduce myself and just to help educate people with whatever stuff we could. So, firstly, my name is Nirmal Parab. I basically come from Mumbai, India. I'm a chartered accountant. So I completed my chartered accountancy in 2018, and after that, I have had a work experience of close to 5 years at ICICI Bank, basically in the credit risk department, and 2 years of close to a year in Crystal Ratings in the ratings department. And after that, I kind of wanted to pursue masters in finance, and I'm currently pursuing masters in finance from Brandeis University. So the whole objective behind pursuing masters in finance from Brandeis University was the curriculum that it offered, and plus the return of on investment. I kind of got a good scholarship as well, and plus the major factor over here was interacting with the seniors, and I found out that the seniors over here are quite helpful. I mean, looking at their profile, and networking was one of the major factors that helped me to choose this university. Uh, Currently, I'm pursuing an summer internship at Amica. I work in the investments department, that is fixed income, and I'm kind of learning a lot. It's a great platform to basically learn about a lot of market stuff before you, narrow down your basic investment decisions. So it's kind of going good so far, and I look forward to learning more from the university. And this place basically also, and the United States in general, also offers a lot of opportunities and a lot of learning factors. So that's it from my side, and on to you, Advait. Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, sorry, Advait, are you aware of any a Guinness World Record for the oldest intern in history?
I believe we've viewed it being recorded.
Yeah, I think I think we have
witnessed it.
history being created in Amica. So anyway, sorry, just kidding. Moving on to that.
Yeah, oldest and most qualified, I would say.
Oh, yes, for sure, definitely.
But of course. So thanks, guys. I'm Adwait, originally from Mumbai, India. Did my undergrad in engineering there, and before my MBA, I was working in financial services for 4 years. The first couple of years, I worked mostly with GPs on valuation, due diligence, and portfolio management. So did a ton of bottoms up financial models, IC decks, comms. So basically, just spent a lot of time in Excel and PPT. The next couple of years, I worked with a sovereign wealth fund on their primary fund investments and the subsequent co-investments, as well as a little bit on the asset allocation side. Uh, what happened was, I could be working on a deal for weeks or months, and then I would have no say in whether it was passed by the investment committee or not. So that is something that I wanted to change, which is why I made the decision to pursue an MBA. And once I decided that I wanted to do an MBA, I wanted to work in finance. New York was the place to be. So that is why that is what I'm doing right now. I just finished the first year of my MBA at NYU, and like Shikhar and Nirmal, I'm interning at Amica Insurance in their investments team, and I'm working with the alternative investments team that invests in private equity and venture capital funds. And of course, happy to answer any questions that I can.
So I think all of you are from different universities and still ended up in the same place. So what was your idea behind choosing the university you did?
Okay,
Like all
I'll
three of
go.
you.
Yeah, I'll go first.
Hmm.
I mean, I would, my thought process was more inclined towards the course that I was doing. I had a tough decision that I had to make between NUS, Singapore, and Northeastern, Babson, and similar kind of schools. And I had quantitative finance in Northeastern, but corporate finance in NUS. I chose quantitative finance because I wanted to delve deeper into the quant side of finance, get in more technical skills into myself, and try to leverage that into what I already had been doing and what I wanted to do. So I wanted to be fluent with more technical skills and a technical side of finance. That was the reason of choosing quant finance, and I feel that with the scholarships and the best offer that I had was Northeastern. So that's where I am right now. And I mean, I wouldn't say it's been bad, it's been good. The market is a little tricky, but I mean, I got an internship in something that is relevant to what I wanted to do. So I'm happy with my progress till now. So let's see how it pans out in the future.
I think the market is not tricky. It's pretty clear that they don't want us. So it's a bit tricky on our side.
I
So
was a
let's see how
little
it goes.
diplomatic. I was a little
Yeah.
diplomatic in saying that.
Yeah, you're from Big Four, right? That's why.
Nirmal.
Yeah.
Yeah, so basically, as I said, I am a chartered accountant and I was more towards the back end of the office, that is credit risk. I've worked with the major bank and the credit rating agency, but however, as we all know, that the growth in India becomes stagnant at a point of time. And basically that kind of motivated me to go and pursue some different goals, which was masters in finance. Uh, I mean, United States was kind of we all know that the job market isn't, I mean, as good as it was a few years back. But I mean, that's the struggle, right? I mean, you get into something and you come out as a different person, and this really helps you in a way. So I already had chartered accountancy, where I mean I actually struggled. I mean, people who have done chartered accountancy know the real struggle. So this was kind of fine. So the process, my thought process behind going for masters in finance was the curriculum that it offered and the shorter span of the course. Uh, and basically, of course, if you're coming from a country like India, you also look at return on investment as well. So it was kind of offering a great return as well. Obviously, wherever you land a job, that's also important. But if you look at the university from curriculum per se or from upgrading your skills, then I mean you need to look at the curriculum. So I had admits from like 6 or 7 universities, and I basically compared the curriculum, and I also compared the cities like Boston or New York or uh, like somewhere in the western province of the United States. But like since we are closer to New York and eastern coast, it's basically known for, I mean, finance subjects and everything. So that's the reason that, I mean, all these factors combined together helped me to choose Brandeis universities. And secondly, my internship process, as I mean, like everyone, I mean, it's I would say it's a struggle. I mean, you would receive rejections. That's a very common thing. The only thing you need to do is try and develop your approach every single time you get rejections. I landed this internship in the month of April, and I mean, I would say luck also plays a very important role. and you just have to, be determined and just be focused. And it's a different ball game. You just need to like get your A game out here, and get as many just get the best output possible. And it's different for everyone. It's very unique. So your approach, you cannot compare your approach with somebody else. You need to develop your approach. And as soon as you see that something's going wrong, you just need to, you can refer to your mentor as well and just improve your approach, and that really helps to get your internship or a full-time job. And so far it's going great. Amica, I've got to learn a lot of stuff, along with Shikhar and Adwait. So yeah, so far it's going good, and I hopefully things go well in near future as well. And on to Adwait. Thank you.
Hmm. So a couple of reasons primarily why I chose to do an MBA and why I chose to do it at NYU. Firstly, before my MBA, I was leading a team of 6 or 7 people. I really enjoyed the managerial aspect of the role. I think being responsible for other people brought out the best in me, and that is something that I wanted to continue after my grad program. So that is why I thought, that is one of the reasons why I thought an MBA made more sense for me, than a traditional master's program. And then when I received my admits, I knew that I wanted to get into finance. Professor Damodaran is a legend as well. So it really was a sort of a no-brainer for me when it came to choosing Stern. Talking about my internship, like you guys said, it definitely is a difficult time. And I think the most difficult thing was to resist the temptation to spray and pray, basically apply to any job that you see out there. I think what served me well was sort of working on identifying my own skills, trying to build up my resume, trying to modify my resume so that I could highlight those, and then sort of try and take, not cherry pick, but try and shortlist a few firms that would suit my strengths, and then sort of try to customize my applications to, make it more attractive to those places themselves rather than, just applying to. I sure did plenty of that, but I think what I learned was I would have been better served, sort of tailoring my applications from day one itself.
So I know Shikhar did not have any experience in finance in India, but for both of you guys, Adwait and Nirmal, I think you'd already covered most of what you're learning right now in your coursework. So did you actually learn anything new in your university, in your master's program, or was it more of a holistic development?
I think Adwait is an engineer, right? So he had no
Yeah.
remotely when he wasn't connected with finance.
So you're working in the tech side of the.
Sorry.
So were you working in the tech side of the financial services sector?
Oh, no.
Is that what?
No, I was working in finance for 4 years, but like you said, no theoretical knowledge. So I knew
Okay.
a lot of, I knew, I was doing a lot of things. I knew how to do them, but I wanted to delve deeper into why I was doing them, if that makes sense. And I think an MBA has been very helpful for me. Just for example, I spoke about Professor Damodaran. I took corporate finance with him in the second semester. But I also took a private equity course with Professor Shwed, and he's someone who's been working in the industry for more than 20 years. He at one time led the largest LBO that happened in Europe in the 2000s. So at Stern, you interact with a lot of people working on Wall Street, all of those things. So I think it's been it's been a great mix of getting theoretical knowledge, building upon that, and also getting some insights into, so for example, I had a lot of clients in the US, and at times when you're when you're working with deadlines in place, when you have fixed targets, you sort of tend not to see the bigger picture. You concentrate on your work and then move on to the next analysis piece. But I think getting here has, it's definitely great for holistic development. I have a lot of colleagues who've been successful in their own paths of life. But even from just, if I speak about finance, if I speak about academic learning, I think there's been a ton of that as well for me, at least.
Yeah, all in all, he's an engineer, so he can do anything he wants.
Even break his head against the wall.
Yeah.
But
I don't
think
know what jack of all trades, but definitely master of none.
Yeah. I don't think so.
But I think you're absolutely right about. I'm sorry.
I said even I don't think so. I mean,
Yeah.
engineering studies will be like I would say like if you have done engineering, I mean, and that too in your undergrad, and you have seen everything, then of course you have that grit and determination to do anything. And of course, you're
Yeah.
intelligent as well.
That's true.
So, okay.
No, I think it's really difficult to like smoke up every day and not go to uni and just sit at home when you're in your undergrad in
Uh,
BTech.
so my undergrad college was like a 15-minute walk from my place. So I, I lived with my family the entire time. So you can imagine the type of
Oh, okay.
smoking.
It's okay. I mean, you can.
I was only smoked by my parents. And, that's the
We'll not send this link
that's
to
the
your parents. That's
that's
one
the
thing.
oh, my mom's already made me promise to send it to her.
I think.
Hope you are editing out this part.
Okay, then maybe drop a few hints about the peddlers
Mm.
in case your juniors are watching this videos.
Yeah.
And
That'll be
Nirmal,
good.
how has your experience been teaching all of your folks?
Teaching all my folks, with that's a good
Yeah.
question.
I think
Sometimes I
CS should
do.
have prepared you for that.
Of course, bro. Sometimes I do teach. That's my part-time job. Yeah, that's a volunteer work. I don't charge, but I think I should charge people, charge all the students. But honestly, I mean, just to answer your question, I mean, so since I have some finance background and I'm a chartered accountant, so all the incremental learning that I have come across at Brandeis University is, I mean, like subjects like financial modeling or subjects like fixed income as well. I mean, these two I would just highlight because other subjects I had some knowledge about it while I was pursuing my chartered accountancy. So, of course, I mean, like for financial modeling, the more you practice, the more you are good at it, right? So once you get to know about all kind of companies, I mean, Shikhar could relate with this. I mean, because he is doing the DCF stuff. So, I mean, it's like it's very simple. I mean, of course, you're doing masters, then university expects that you would have the basic knowledge of whatever you're doing. So of course I've learned everything before in the past, but this just gave me an opportunity to just uh, enhance on some aspects and basically I mean just sharpen my skills. So financial modeling did help. I mean, of course, working on the modeling aspects and working on some Excel skills as well. It really helped to enhance my skills. And secondly, I would say fixed income. I would like to highlight because we had a good professor and Professor Daniel Bergstresser, who is really intelligent and smart, and he knows how to teach us as well. I mean, kind of, I mean, practical approach he has. I mean, just running the Bloomberg on a screen and trying to explain on a real-time basis. It really helps us. So that was pretty vital or important from learning perspective. So these two were some of the incremental subjects because you would know about a subject. I mean, even if you read, because I mean, I do understand those who are pursuing a professional course like CFA. If you read, you're going to, I mean, grasp some knowledge. But if somebody teaches you really well, and like a professor, like even Adwait highlighted two of his best professors. So like if there's a professor who would teach you really well and make understand things in a simpler way, I mean that would, I mean, be good. I would say, I mean, that's amazing, right? I mean, that's the reason you choose universities, right? I mean, you need good professors and you need a good course. I mean, if that solves your purpose, then everything is good. And of course, if you have come to the United States, you learn things the hard way, and you also know or understand that networking is really important. So you start networking from the earlier age. So that's some incremental, I would say, incremental learning that I have. I mean, I've kind of understood over here, and I'm kind of, I mean, developing. And basically, I would say I'm still improving it. I mean, developing my skills. And yeah, I mean, you get a lot of insights as well as you start interacting with different people. So yeah, I mean, so far it's going great.
And Shikhar, for you, how has it been since you didn't work in finance and you directly came for the MSQF course?
Yeah, honestly speaking, bachelor's was in commerce, so I had, of
Hmm.
course, delved, I would say, quite a bit into finance, and I
Hmm. Accounting.
did see any financial management. There is
Hmm.
taxation, there is
Hmm.
corporate finance, there is investments as well, a bit of it, financial reporting.
Hmm.
So, I mean, depends on the course structure that you have in a bachelor's, but that's not the point. I did a couple of attempts at CA. I
Hmm.
got through intermediate group one, and then I left during my last year. As I've said in the past one of the episodes, that I
Hmm.
left my CA right on on my third year, during my third year, for a job as an analyst in KPMG risk consulting. So I wanted to delve deeper into finance eventually, but I had to figure out what exactly did I want to deep dive into. Then I
Hmm.
realized that I had an interest in stock markets because I had been investing right all throughout my work life. I had an interest in stock markets, equity markets, capital markets, and all the how the global scenarios, economic scenarios affect any sort of an economic outline or a government or any sort of stock market of the world. So I wanted
Hmm.
some greater experience, and I also wanted to develop my technical skills. Like I wouldn't have learned Python if I hadn't come to Northeastern, because
Hmm.
there was no path, there was no need for me to learn that during my work. So I had to
Hmm.
put myself into a position where I'm coming in and I'm being forced to at least
Hmm.
start learning something like a. I'm not saying that I'm perfect or I can code anything in the world that I want
Oh
to do,
yeah, that
but
I know.
yeah, of course, same for you, bro. You're also the same. What do you think about yourself?
Same,
I'll come
same
to
as
you.
you, bro.
Hmm. So that's the case. So I mean, I got an initial point, got an initial kickoff for what I actually where I want to be. So I think that's the case with all the quant finance folks who have joined Northeastern. I mean, they've got the initial kickoff into maybe their interest, maybe not their interest, but they know, especially in a master's, you know what you want to do. If you don't, I mean, then you have that. It's not like it's a bad thing, but that was my main purpose. So yeah, it's not been tough for me, I would say, in terms of
Hmm.
finance, because I've been a commerce student all my life.
Hmm.
So basics are there, but the incremental skills, the technical skills that are lacking for the market, that is where my focus is right now, and that is the main purpose of learning new things during my masters, and of course during my work experience, whatever I have.
Oh, that's great. I think all three of you guys mentioned everything about your universities, the professors, coursework, and the networking part. I actually wanted to get your ideas on like how do you think the alumni network of your university is?
Hmm.
Like all three of you.
Okay, I'll go. I mean, I haven't experienced a great deal about Northeastern's alumni network yet, I would say.
Hmm.
I am in touch with a couple of seniors. We have chatted, they have guided us in certain ways. But honestly speaking, I haven't seen a robust network of individuals that this is the alumni network. This is
Hmm.
where you land up in once you graduate. There is definitely a network, but maybe we'll get to know about it when we graduate. But we have indefinite access to the university portals, university resources, and of course our professors.
Hmm.
But I'm not really sure about how the senior situation pans out and how the ecosystem really is for the alumni at Northeastern. So
Okay.
yeah.
So in our university, I mean, to be honest, 4 or 5 years back, we had a good network of people getting into, like, I would say, good profiles. And however, I mean, in last 3 or 4 years, I mean, there are some students because of I mean, I would say because of the market scenario as well, job market scenario as well, like people there has been some kind of delay like get a full-time job or given an internship. So I mean things are changing right now, I mean gradually on a gradual basis. So like I would say the same thing as Shikhar said. I mean I'm still yet to explore I mean in a networking platform at my university.
Hmm.
However, I mean on LinkedIn, whenever I connect with some seniors, they are really kind and helpful and they do
Hmm.
guide you in the right direction. But however, I would also suggest everyone or those who are watching this episode to even network outside your university as well. I mean, network with folks. I mean, who, of course, you are on LinkedIn, you're going to find a lot of people. I mean, who work in various firms or who come from a different background. And because the more you interact with such people, the more feedback you get from them as well. I mean, a short call with them would really help to get a lot of insights about their working environment and, of course, about their background and how what was their approach to get a full time job. And of course, so I would just suggest, I mean, to network outside your university as well. And I think that's the major part because, of course, I mean, I'm not saying that they wouldn't help you. I mean, but yeah, there are some people from university, of course, they're going to guide you in the right direction, but you never know, right? Why do you want to keep your options closed? I mean, or just you want to limit your options, but you need to do whatever is there in your arsenal, right? You want to do the maximum you can. I mean, so I would say just even if your university's networking, networking portal is narrow, you just have to find different ways to expand your reach, I would say. So that's it.
Okay.
Mhm. I think my experiences at NYU have been slightly different, and that is because for most job functions that have like a structured recruiting process, for example, banking, consulting, most of your process will be run by stern alum, so there is a lot of interaction with them. Even in your day-to-day life, you would be a part of different student organizations depending on what you're recruiting for. So most of them will apply, will provide you like an MBA too, who will mentor a group of 5 to 6 students throughout the year. So I think I don't know if that's an NYU thing, if that is an MBA thing. I would suggest it is an MBA thing. From my experience, I think it is an MBA thing. But I have had pretty decent. I've had like a lot of interactions with alums during this process as well as outside it. Whenever NYU obviously has a pretty large alumni base, especially in New York. So whenever I've reached out to them, I think I've received better responses than I have from other cold outreaches. So I think it's been pretty good. I would go as far as to suggest that alums have been more helpful than the college's career office in some aspects of the process.
Yeah, I would agree.
Okay.
I think it's an MBA thing, honestly speaking. That's the case with all MBAs. But yeah, it's not that we don't have access to alumni. I have also personally connected with a lot of alumni. We've actually got alumni on our channel for a lot of episodes as well. It's just that the infrastructure of connecting with a formal infrastructure, a professional infrastructure of connecting with alumni and ecosystem. That's something that's I'm yet to experience something like that at Northeastern. So
I think people from Brandeis and Northeastern need it more because they don't have OPT and CPT like any more opportunities left for the next few months, and some of them don't have an internship. But people who already have a good alumni network, they have it sorted out. So I don't think it's fair in that way.
Adwait comes from the Ivy League.
What?
Adwait comes from the Ivy League.
It's not an Ivy League. It might be a great uni.
It's like the grass is always greener on the other side. But like even for me, maybe I will look at Columbia and say they have access to like a greater variety of job roles. Stern is typically known for only banking and consulting, maybe a little bit of tech. If I was in Columbia, I would have access to some buy-side roles as well through my college. So, for example, for Amica, I was the one who reached out on LinkedIn and applied on LinkedIn. It wasn't anything like it wasn't even posted on my college's job board. So, but I think it's then I would have had to do better to get into a university like that. So, based on what I've done before this, I can't really say that I can complain about the alumni network at least.
Yeah. And now coming to the internship application part, so all three of you are working at the same place. You have different backgrounds, you have different coursework. So, how was the application process like for you guys? And the application doesn't have to be restricted to Amica for now. So, you can talk about everything that you learned in your entire application process, be it networking or be it editing your resume for every role or whatever it might be for you.
Yeah, okay, I'll go. Um, very mixed sort of experience, honestly. I haven't struggled in the past in India, especially with securing a job. And with the scale that I had for an internship, I won't have had to struggle, I am sure, and neither of any of you and a lot of people who are here. But it's a different kind of scenario here. And my internship search started in September when I started first applying, September 2023. I started applying to openings, but at that time, a lot of openings, a lot of summer internship cycles had already closed down by end of August. So that's my advice. I think Rahul and I, we talked about it in one of the uploads that we did in the past, wherein
Yeah.
we really advise students to start looking at summer internship opportunities in June and July as they open then, and that's for the next year. So that's would be my suggestion to the audience. But apart from that, I started religiously applying from September, and till December I had 0 interviews. In January, I was like, no, I had to change my approach. I really have to get this internship. So I changed my approach from starting of the spring semester, wherein I did 5 applications a day, and so a total of around 250, 300 applications I've done in the entire, or whatever, 4 to 5 odd months. And out of those 300 applications, I landed I think 2 or 3 interviews, two of which gave me an offer. The first offer that I received, they denied me the offer because of my visa status, so that was rescinded. And then the next offer, I mean, it was surprising. Right when I received the rejection for uh, the first company, the next day I had the first round of interview request for Amica. So and within 2 to 3 weeks, I was hired at Amica. So I wouldn't say it wasn't a successful internship search, but yeah, it was very rigorous, very tiring, and you really had to motivate yourself, and that would be my suggestion to anybody who's coming into the US right now, because I think they'll face a similar or other even worse internship scenario. Nirmal.
Yeah. So my internship search was started in September, and I would say, as I stated earlier as well, you need to, develop your approach, or kind of constantly update your resume every couple of months or every month. That's really important. And like my internship search, so we had curriculum as well. So I had to balance between the curriculum or assignments and the internship search. So that was really difficult. But like uh, the more applications you do, the more you learn from different areas, right? You get to know, like, okay, this firm has rejected me. So basically you reflect upon or introspect yourself, where you went wrong. You kind of develop something different, right? So that did not happen until December, I would say. But however, after this winter break, so it was time to, kind of develop a different plan, because plan A wasn't working. You need to switch to plan B as soon as you can. And plus, considering the job market as well, you needed, some positivity. So you need to motivate yourself constantly. That's also another important stuff. And coming on to the interviews, so I basically spoke with people. I was also kind of networking in my second year, because during my first semester, I was just applying. I kind of like networked with really few people, but from second semester onwards, I kind of changed that approach. And of course, the number of applications came down, but I was I was making sure that it has to be effective. So I was kind of networking with people. I got over calls with the hiring managers, or even the HR people. And so I had one or two calls before that, but that didn't really materialize. So honestly speaking, I mean, during at the end of March, I mean, I was kind of demotivated for some time, but I
Hmm.
mean, I thought like I'm kind of qualified for a summer internship over here because I got such response from few people as well. But so I was kind of about to switch from looking for internship to looking for a full-time job. At that
Hmm.
particular time, I mean, at that particular one, Amica happened. I mean, I just applied through LinkedIn and it kind of happened. So it's like as Shikhar mentioned, I mean, your search process is rigorous. It is
Hmm.
rigorous, but I mean, the more applications you do, so the probability of your acceptance increases, even if it is minute, even if it is 1% or something, it really increases. So that I think that really helped. And of course, I mean, so Amica was like the only interview I had. I mean, I had two rounds, and I kind of cleared those two rounds. I mean, so both were conversational and technical as well. So, I mean, I would say just keep the process on. I mean, but you need to know at the same time, you need to be flexible and you need to change your approach as the situation changes. And yeah, you need to network. As I have been reiterating the same fact that you need to network every now and then. I mean, it really helps interacting with different people, receiving insights. I mean, your thought process changes basically, and that's really important. You kind of start developing your thought process and you start develop your approach. So it really helps. So that was my journey for internship hunt.
Okay.
Mhm. Yeah, I think again a little bit different on the MBA front, and I'm not going to spend a ton of time talking about the process itself, but just a couple of learnings or things that I noticed during the time. I think Shikhar spoke about how things are different in India, and I think the main difference that I noticed at least is in India you are encouraged to be maybe humble, maybe downplay yourself a little bit and let your work speak for itself. And
Hmm.
what I noticed very early here is if you do that in the US, that you're not going to sound like the right fit for them. So of course your work experience is important, your understanding of the subject matter is important, but they also want to see how you present yourself. That is some advice that I've gotten throughout the process. So your soft skills, how confident you are when you speak to people, because when you think about it, if all of us are working in finance, in the end it is like a people facing job. So you have to be able to carry yourself well, you have to be able to present your thoughts effectively, and there's
Hmm.
a lot of emphasis on that uh, maybe I didn't think about, or maybe I didn't notice, or maybe I didn't know about this when I first started recruiting. The second thing, especially for MBAs, is I think every college has a different way of doing it. And when before you come here, you're not aware of that. So just to give you an example, I think Stern especially is famous for helping people who are looking to switch careers into investment banking or consulting.
Hmm.
So, the recruitment process, like I said, it's conducted by alums, right? So, for banking, for example, no one is going to ask you like a technical question or a finance related question until December. So, for someone like Nirmal or someone like me who has like a background in finance, that could have been like a drawback that was like a drawback for me.
Hmm.
So, when I thought about it in terms of ranking, and that is what you usually tend to do,
Hmm.
Darden, Corner, and Stern all appear on the same level, right? But each of them will have a separate level, separate way of recruiting, separate things that they expect from people who are recruiting. And I think it's important for people to know about those before they make the decision to, you know, come to a college here. Speaking about my recruiting process, personally, I started by recruiting for banking, had a couple of interviews, had a few super days as well, and I had an offer at a boutique bank at the same time that I got the offer from Amica. But what I'm doing at Amica right now is what I've always wanted to do. It's what I want to do long term. So even if it
Hmm.
meant like moving away from New York, it was a no-brainer again. I took it without second thought.
Okay, my last question to you guys related to the application processes. First, how did you actually change your resume and how do you actually structure it? And the second one is, did you even use cover letter as other people say, or did you even not use it? So, yeah, these two questions.
Yeah, I had a backbone resume ready,
Hmm.
a common structure. But honestly, I would say that I did not change my resume a ton of times. It was a constant resume, and I was targeting specific roles. Honestly, internship, uh, it is a very generalized sort of an approach for something that I'm interested in. I was looking at two things. I mean, initially I was targeting specific niche roles, but as and when I realized that that's something that it might be harmful in the long run, I started generalizing my approach, my applications. It was a common resume, but it had a flavor of almost everything that I wanted to do. So if I apply in suppose a finance role, I have a background that talks about finance and relevant to the job. If I have a role like what I'm doing right now, equity research or portfolio management, I have experiential learning through the 360 Huntington Fund at Northeastern, which is a student managed hedge fund. So that was included in my resume. So that was complementing, and that was actually what my interview was based on. So that was good for me. Similarly, if I had something else, if I was applying for a consulting internship, I had consulting experience highlighted in my resume. So one common resume that covers multiple flavors might not work for everybody. Again, this is something that worked for me. And cover letters, honestly speaking, I did not spend a lot of time. Initially, yes, but eventually, then when I was down to five jobs applications a day, I was barely any cover letters. Maybe some good companies I would have done cover letters, but no.
Did you send a cover letter to Amica? Since
No,
you talked about the good companies.
not at all. I mean, amazing, big, really big companies. Amica was never my first choice, first of all. I mean, I don't
Hmm.
think it was anybody's first choice. We just stumbled upon the opportunity through LinkedIn. We did not even knew the company was existed, but it was the right opportunity, and it was a huge company. It's a 117-year-old rather firm, and it's a huge company, huge in Rhode Island, but nobody knew. And we actually were there, as Nirmal said, we were there. You have to be there at the right place at the right time. That's where the luck
Hmm.
factor is in, and that
Mm-hmm.
only will take
100%.
place. That only will take place once you start to apply a lot. You increase
Hmm.
your probability. So that's my take on it. I don't know about the rest.
Okay, and you mentioned the university's fund as a hedge fund. Like I
Mutual
heard,
fund, a mutual fund.
yeah. It's not a hedge
It's a
fund,
mutual
guys.
fund.
So
Yeah, it's a mutual
yeah,
fund. My bad.
I just don't want people to think about it as a hedge fund.
Ganta nahi
Hmm.
bhai. It's a mutual fund.
Okay, moving on to Nirmal or Adwait,
Yeah, so I would
whoever
say,
is older. Hmm.
yeah. So I would say, I mean, as Shikhar mentioned, people, I mean, we didn't know about Amica. Yeah, that was true. But I think now, like, people would start knowing Amica because it's going to sponsor Boston Celtics from.
That's true.
So yeah, so to answer your question, Rahul, yeah, I had to update my resume, yeah, but I did not update the structure. The structure was pretty simple and it was straightforward.
Hmm.
But like during your, I mean, the coursework, you're going to learn something, or like you learn financial modeling, or you get to learn, or you participate in various competitions. So you got to mention those things as well. So from that per se, I did update my resume. It did not change a lot. I mean, 90% it was the same thing. It was just the 5 or 10% that you need to look at it, and you need to, I would say, you need to update your resume, but not change it because,
Hmm.
of course, before arriving at the university, you get your resume approved from your, I mean, from whoever is looking into the resume part. Of course, you're going to get it up. Like in Brandeis, it is the CSE, that is Career Strategic, and I don't remember the I mean the abbreviation, but it's fine. So it's CSE. So basically, there is a different team that looks at the resume part. So I got it approved, and one important fact I would like to mention is the score that you get because your resume is going to get scanned from particular company. So you need to make sure that you score at least 90 out of 100 while updating the resume. So I mean, I would just advise everyone to keep that thing in mind. I mean, there are different applications like Resume Worded was one of the applications that was helping me to achieve that particular score because there could be a few grammatical errors or I mean the structure errors. I mean, so you need to look at it as well. I mean, you need to double check your resume as many times as you can. I mean, it's like you need to do it multiple times because it's your resume, and it's like uh, it's the first part. I mean, before a company gets to know you, so you got to be very attentive towards your resume, and you have to check it multiple times. I would like to emphasize it again and again because you are going to get interviewed only basis your resume. I mean, your resume is your first stage. I mean, so you need to make sure that your resume gets approved through whatever artificial intelligence course or whatever it is. So you have to cross that hurdle before you go on to the interview rounds. And so, yeah, I would just to answer your question in a nutshell, I would say, I mean, you don't need to change the structure, but you need to make it. I mean, you have to make sure that you score at least 90 in that in the score, and you need to update your achievements. And you could also get it cross checked from your mentors, or I mean, whoever it is, I mean, whomever you trust or have faith in. And secondly, to answer your second question, I made cover letters in the start, and I made sure that, I mean, cover letters. I mean, I made it sure that, I mean, it's a constant approach. Like whichever firms I apply to, whichever banks. I mean, if it's big or large, I used to send cover letter along with it. Or and if it's a small firm, even like just like Shikhar did, I just used to send my resume. So, I mean, it depends. I mean, like, so, I mean, I think you are the person who has to make that kind of a decision whether which firm is important, where I need to send the cover letter. You would get that gut feeling. I mean, this is a chance. I mean, you read out, or you read about the firm, you read about the profile, you read about the job description, you read about the person who would be looking at it, you read about the number of applicants. So, based on that, you need to send the cover letter. I mean, that's a decision that you need to make for yourself because you need to balance the time. I mean, and of course, once you're there in the process, it really teaches you what's the right approach. I mean, you would come up, I mean, there's no perfect approach, but you would come up with different approaches every single time. And as I said before, I mean, it's luck, right time, and right place. I mean, that's going to work. I mean, so you have to be patient. Patience is the key, I would say, and it will definitely work out. You need to be positive. I mean, I know there would be some negative feelings as well that you would get. I mean, if things aren't happening your way, but you need to be positive. You need to keep yourself motivated. You need to be, I mean, kind of influenced from others as well. I mean, start interacting with people, networking, and that's the process. That's the whole game, I would say. I mean, you need to be at your best because competition is also going to be there, and others are going to be at their level best. So I would say there's no time to prep. You just need to be focused and just do your own job. That's it.
Okay.
Yeah, I think one thing NYU did pretty well for us was they, sort of gave us an opportunity to have the first chat with a lot of people in a lot of different fields. And what I noticed early on was the type of questions that I was getting in these coffee chats was different depending on the type of person, the type of role that I was interviewing for. So I then tried to tailor my resume, to cover those types of points or those types of questions. So for example, when I was recruiting for banking, where I mentioned my co-investments, I was asked like a few specific questions about some of those transactions. So then I made sure to update my resume to include those points and then sort of not include those points that I felt were not being touched upon in my interviews or my coffee chats. So I think for me at least, having that personalized resume helped. Even when I interviewed at Amica, they asked me like specific questions regarding to, pertaining to the points that I had put in my resume. So, my interview was purely technical. My first round interview, they just asked me about my prior investment experience and what I thought about different funds in the market. So I thought having the details of those transactions on my resume definitely help. But I would like to point out that it's a percentages game. You only have a limited amount of time. So then it's up to you to take the decision, the amount of personalization or the amount of time that you want to put in on a resume versus say, networking or applying online. When it comes to cover letters, I think I was told a good cover letter might not get you in, but a bad cover letter will certainly get you kicked out. So what I started doing was, maintaining these templates wherein I could just change like a few points and send those to companies. But an interesting thing that occurred to me was, I was interviewing for for a role at a consulting firm, and you write in your cover letter about where you've heard about the company. So generally, it's just like something very general that you write. It's like that this XYZ company has a great reputation. I talked to this alum at this company. But I just remembered reading about, I wrote in my cover letter, which was true, that I read about them in a list of, in an award list, the list, like the top 50 economic consulting firm, a list that comes out every year. And it's a prestigious list. They were a part of that. So I wrote about it in my cover letter, and my interviewer actually spent some time going over it in my interview. So this was like towards the end of my process. This was like a day before my Amica interview, but that is when I realized maybe they are not, maybe they are not just throwing it into the rubbish pile. Maybe they do actually read it sometime. So again, it's like a game of percentage. If you have time, I would certainly suggest putting that time into making your cover letter better. But then also you need to realize that's not your first priority.
Yeah.
Like I said, a good cover letter might not get you in.
I agree. I mean, I also had a customized template wherein I had a tabular representation of the JD and the skills that I have. So I used to match them, personalize it in that way according to the application that I was doing. But yeah, again, it is a very time-consuming process. So that's how you prioritize. I mean, it's upon you whether you find it useful or not. I mean, it didn't work for me personally. Wherever I used the cover letter, I didn't get anything. So completely different scenarios for Adwait and Nirmal as well. So, yeah, I mean, there is no set rule or guide I mean, a rule that you have to follow till the end that will land you an internship. It is customized according to what you feel is the right approach for you and according to where you want to be in terms of the job role.
That makes a lot of sense. And all three of you explained everything so clearly. There is no point left to talk about the application part, so you guys are free to go for now. That being said, I think we'll record another part where we talk about your experience at Amica, and we can know more about how often people go on a vacation here. So let's keep part 2 for that.
Yes. So,
and that's it. Thanks a lot, boys, for being on the pod.
Thanks, guys.
It was great talking to all of
Welcome.
you.
Thanks, Rahul. Thanks for having us.
Likewise.